Recording. Yay, we're good. All right, off we go. So welcome to our July meeting, another virtual hosting event. I just want to have just a quick reminder about our meetings and SODAY codes. There still is a little bit of confusion about that. The code for the general meeting is my personal meeting room, so anything that I host, which will be all the general meetings, all the special events, and SODAYs that are hosted by me, use the code you used this morning. SODAYs that are hosted by other people, it's because they're using their accounts and there'll be a different code. So every SODAY that we've had that was hosted by someone other than me, there have been people waiting in my waiting room. I think they figured it out, but I just want to let you know that when the thing comes out about we're having a virtual SODAY hosted by Sandra Fay, Sandra has her own code. So just pay attention to that. If it's me, it's the same code. If it's other people, it's a different one. You may have noticed in our survey that the Maitland Library had reached out to me with the possibility that they might start SODAYs again this month. And so we polled to see who, if there were people that were comfortable with that. In that time, they've come back to me and said, nope, we're not doing anything in July. We'll regroup in August. So there were a few of you who said you would be willing to go to an in-person SODAY there. So I'll just keep you posted as I hear from them. Thank you so much to those of you who sent in your quarantine diary notes for the newsletter. I think we are all really enjoying those. So please keep that up. If you haven't done it yet, please consider doing that, and you will send them to Love Sullivan, who is our member at large, and she's compiling those. I also don't have any sewing room videos to show you this month, and I know we've really been enjoying those, but I need people to send them to me if I'm going to show them. So just keep that in mind. You can text them to me if that's the easiest way to do it, because people have really been loving that. So keep them coming. So we're actually going to shift our normal agenda around a little bit for Marge because she has to get to work. And we're actually going to start with Marge, and she's going to talk about a couple of things, the most important one being our new class that Renee is offering. So Marge, go ahead.
All right, hold on. Hello, guys. I don't have to say who I am anymore because it's right there on the screen. So I don't know if if everybody has seen the newsletter, but I tried to explain it there. But we're having a virtual class. I know that people have been, a lot of the teachers have been offering virtual classes, and I am a little reluctant to spend the money because I don't know how good it is. So we're giving you the offer of being able to get a virtual class that Renee Martinez is going to host. She is a certified teacher for Laura Heine, I think her name is, and it's a applique technique. And the Guild is going to help us with the cost of it so that we can all do it and enjoy it. And what we're planning on doing is, if you notice in the email there, we finally opened up a PayPal account to make it easier for everybody. So if you want to join this class, there's going to be a $25 charge for the pattern, only because we want to make sure that people are committed. We certainly wouldn't want you to say, yes, I'm coming, and then we order 100 kits and then only 60 show. So it's a fabric collage. Thank you, Renee. Fabric collage technique, not applique. So anyway, we are going to ask you, if you want to join us, that you pay a $25 fee for the pattern. So you're getting the pattern with that. Then what we'll do is we will order the pattern and the supplies that are needed, and those will be paid for, the supplies will be paid for by the Guild. And the only thing that you'll have to pay for is fabric, because we certainly don't want to make your fabric choices. But once you say by July 10th, if you commit to this class, either by sending a check to Kathy Aber or using PayPal, and we will know how many people will be, Debbie just said, can you see the pattern? Yes, we can see the pattern. It's on the newsletter. Okay, Renee's got it right there. So it's a sewing machine. But anyway, so what we'll do is we'll get the count of how many people are coming. Then we will order the supplies we need. We'll get them to you. And then in the meantime, Renee has already created a virtual or a YouTube kind of video to say what you're going to need, get you some ideas on the fabric and some choices of the fabric. Then we'll get your kits delivered to you. And then in August, early August, we'll start a series of videos that Renee is going to do. And it's going to be a Zoom meeting, and it's going to be taped or videoed so that if you can't make that particular Zoom meeting, then it'll be taped for you. So there'll be a series of 3 of them, and each one will have something a little different. Like how do you do the technique, and then what kind, it'll be a Zoom meeting where people can interact and ask questions. So it's going to be fun, and it's going to give you a great idea of what the virtual classes are. I think in this world right now, we're going to see a lot more virtual classes, and the teachers aren't going to be visiting as much as they would like to. So this is great. So hopefully I've answered people's questions. If you have any other questions, please email me or text me or whatever. So Diana Matoni just asked, who's the pattern designer again? It's Laura Heine, Lauraaheine. There you go. And so if you go and look in there, and there's a sewing machine pattern.
Here's if you can just see it off of my, let me get it here. It's in your newsletter. We always want to keep your newsletter, but here's the picture. It's a Singer featherweight, I think, isn't it? And that's the technique.
So yeah, so anybody have any other questions? Understand what I'm saying, or?
And I just want to
Mary Smart has a question. But you gotta unmute.
Yeah, unmute yourself or use the chat feature on the bottom of your screen.
Unmute. Oh, my question is, am excited about this class, so I went to whatever, I can't remember, it was a link in the deal to the PayPal or what, but I could get to the Guild's PayPal thing, but it wouldn't let me change the amount from 0 to 25. So I didn't know if the Guild needed to set it up for 25 or something, but there may be one other step needed before we can pay that way.
I did my PayPal and I had no problem. You had a PayPal account, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's funny because I was able to do it.
Yeah, and we had several people sign up. So you might try it again, Mary. It might be some kind of a blocker that you have. You can also send a check. Marge kind of cut out for a second when she was saying that. You can send a check to Kathy Aber, who is our treasurer. The key thing is we have to have your PayPal sign up or your check by July 10th. After that, you can't get the free kit that the Guild is putting together for you. That's the deadline to get the kit.
And I know, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and I was just gonna say, Renee made the point in the chat, $25 seems like a lot for the pattern. It's actually 3 patterns. It's the sewing machine and 2 other patterns that come as a package. So you're actually getting 3 patterns.
I also know that someone had mentioned that they already had the pattern, and can they continue, can they participate in the class? So yes, that's, if you already have the pattern, you still have to tell us in some way so that we can order the supplies for you that we have.
Okay. Does that make sense? Anybody else have a question they want to ask? Wave your hand or type your chat, or Pam?
Someone
unmute Pam.
Someone asked, what are the other 2 patterns?
Renee?
The other 2 patterns are pincushion and
a dress form.
A dress form. Yeah, sorry, I had muted myself. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I can answer them here, or you can send me an email. The pattern comes with, because they're smaller versions of her original one. So it's a collection of 3. We're going to be doing the sewing machine one, or at least that's the technique. That's what I will be making while I'm doing the class. If someone wants to do a different one, that's fine. But so yeah, it's a pretty good deal. The pattern is 25 and you get 3, and then we're just going to go over the 1.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, the 3 classes are going to be just for the sewing machine. So if somebody wants to do something else, they'll learn the technique from Renee, but we're not going to go over the other 2 patterns. So
okay.
I was just going to ask, I think I already have that pattern. I don't know, I have a couple of her patterns. Who should we email if we already have the pattern?
You can email the Orlando Modern Quilt Guild, or
okay,
or Renee or me or whatever.
Yeah, just somebody. Yeah.
Somebody, yeah. We're between Edie, Renee, and I, and the Orlando Modern Quilt Guild, we're going to kind of spearhead this so that we'll know who wants to do it. There you go, Paula. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay. So so once you send in your by July 10th, we will be sending you an email regarding your fabric choices and such. So make sure if you haven't gotten something, probably by maybe the 15th of July, to make sure you reach out to one of us because we didn't get your name. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Marge.
Should we want to talk now, or
Sorry, what do we want to talk about? What?
do we want to talk about the retreat now?
Yes, I'm going to do a little poll here. Something new. I've got a little poll that's going to pop up on your screen, and I'm going to give you a chance to answer this question. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right, so just if you'll take a couple of minutes and answer these questions.
Oh, that's perfect, Edie.
Yes, I did something technical. Just waiting for everybody to get in here.
Edie, I was just gonna say that if people are having a problem with PayPal, like to click on the dollar amount where it says 00, if you bring your cursor up to it and click, it should give you your keyboard, like your pop-up keyboard, to be able to type in your dollar amount if people are having a hard time. I typed it in the thing there for Mary, but that might help. And I'll mute myself, sorry.
Oh, well, thank you, Radri. I appreciate that. And don't forget, you can send a check. You don't have to, if the PayPal thing is difficult, you can send a check. Okay, so it looks like pretty much everybody has voted. So, Love, did you want to say something? Or can you vote? Let me see if I can unmute you. I don't know if it'll let me unmute. No, okay. So it looks like 70% of you were planning on attending the retreat in November that we have scheduled. And if you did plan to attend, 22% said you would still attend, 30% said you won't attend, and 52% said not sure yet. So that gives us something to talk about. I guess I can share these results actually. So one of the things, I'm not sure what's happening with the retreat. Certainly if things in Florida are as bad as they are now, it's pretty much a guarantee that we are not going to be having an in-person retreat. It's just not feasible or safe. But there have been some guilds that are doing virtual retreats. And the Silicon Valley Modern Quilt Guild did a really successful virtual retreat earlier this year. You can look at that on their Instagram account. And actually, Renee and I are going to attend a webinar on Saturday that they're now offering because theirs was such a success. And we're going to kind of see if we think that's something that we could make work for our guild. So stay tuned. I'm not saying 100% that the in-person retreat is canceled yet, but we are going to have to make a decision about that fairly soon. And quite honestly, it's probably not looking too good. But I don't want to be the bearer of bad news every 5 minutes. So we'll address that a little bit later. Okay, now we're going to move on to Deborah.
Just give me a minute to get my stuff together here as I'm sharing my screen. And tell me, do you see it's a wrap?
No.
No.
Sorry.
The host screen. It says the host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Yeah, hang on. It always does this to me.
All right.
You know what? I had this problem last time. Sorry.
No worries.
I think I have to go back into my account. I think maybe we're just not going to be able to share it today. It seems to have changed this on me.
Do you happen to have my presentation? Did I email that to you?
Mm.
because I need that for later.
Yeah,
For the
I know you do.
Why don't you work on that while
Yeah,
I
I'll
continue
work on
with the
this.
general meeting? So the slides that I were going to share were not created by me, but they were just pulled off of the newsletter that Paula put together. I don't know if Aradria maybe helped with that as well, because she's really great at putting together some fun visuals. The first thing we're going to talk about is It's a Wrap. They've completed their first UFO on the list of 4 that you chose to complete. If you look in the newsletter, you'll see a photo of one that was completed. And the next one on the list was number 4. It's going to be due in September. And Debbie says, keep wrapping them up and sending her some emails with finished photos. We're going to do a collage at the end, but also go ahead and post them onto Instagram or Facebook or your favorite social media outlet. The next thing is the virtual SO-Days. I don't know if you've attended a virtual SO-Day. I don't have the ability to do a poll, so just like raise your hands, give me 2 high fives if you've attended a virtual SO-Day. Look at all of those people. That's so many people that have hosted a virtual SO-Day, and throw something in the comments there to encourage someone else to attend if they haven't yet. I'm gonna let you know that I joined Sandy's, my sister's, on Saturday, and we had such a great time. I think it went for 3 hours. We just didn't end it. Sandy was even willing to like go and get ready and let us keep going without her. But it's just a great time to sit down, sew together, chat about, I don't even know what we chatted about, just this, that, and the other. So the next 2 SO-Days, which you'll see in the newsletter, are July 11th, which is hosted by Yannick, and August 1st, hosted by Paula. I know that a couple other people have said they'll do it, but we don't have your dates or information yet. So if you're gonna host a Zoom virtual SO-Day, shoot myself or Edie or the Orlando Modern Quilt Guild an email and give us some details. Or you can just call me.
You should be able to share now, Deborah. I think I've got it
I
going.
should be able to share now.
Can I say one thing about
Let me
SO-Days?
see if I can.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how this works, but if somebody wants to do a SO-Day but doesn't have a Zoom account, because you want it to be longer than 40 minutes, isn't it possible? I mean, I could set up my Zoom for somebody. I mean, I have a Zoom account. I mean, is that possible, Edie, for somebody?
Yeah, you can do that if you're willing to share your login information, but the problem with doing that is that means you won't be able to participate because you can't sign in on more than one device at a time. That's the only drawback with that. The other thing that you can do is if you want to host one and you don't want to pay for the full account, what some people have been doing is when it runs out at 40 minutes, they just immediately start another one.
Okay.
They just keep it going that way.
And it's the exact same one. It's really the same information. So it's not, if you don't have a Zoom account and you'd like to host a SO-Day, contact one of us, either Edie or myself or probably Paula, and we would sure love to walk you through it.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's been a nice way to get to know some people. And you know, I think we all tend to go to our own locations when we have our real SO-Days. So it's kind of nice to sew with people that you don't normally sew with. It's been really fun.
Yeah. Even if it's 4 people in a SO-Day, it's kind of fun. Do you see my screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, awesome.
Sure do. Yep.
So we're gonna backtrack a minute because I don't have a screen for the block of the month. So we're gonna talk about that just a moment. The block of the month is suspended for right now. We will probably have a post on the blog about it, but we've had, what have we had? March, April, May, June, 4 blocks so far. And we want you to continue working on those. We are coming up with a plan for the future to distribute them probably by the end of the year. But right now, we don't have a lot of participation that we're seeing, and there's so much going on. We're gonna just take a small pause in block of the month for right now. But don't worry, there's plenty of block sewing opportunities that we'll have to offer you in the future. Speaking of sewing opportunities, we are going to do, as if you saw in the newsletter, an Orlando Modern Quilt Guild Christmas in July scrappy gift swap. If you just said, oh darn, about not making a block of the month, then you can jump right into this. We're going to do a scrappy gift swap, and you're going to swap with your fellow Orlando Modern Quilt Guild member. So there's no need to go shopping. We want you to use it right from your stash. If you want to participate, you're going to email the Orlando Modern Quilt Guild by July 15th. And you'll be emailed your not so secret swap partner. So it's not a secret. Once after July 15th, when we've had all the people that want to participate, you'll get your swap partner, and you're going to swap back and forth together, so you know who your partner is and your partner know who they are. Does that make sense? We're going to have a September 3rd swap your gift before date, and you can read all of the details in the newsletter. We did steal a part of this idea from David Hastings from the Seattle Modern Quilt Guild. They are also having a Christmas swap, and they have some pictures on a Pinterest board that you can see there. And also, I think I have the actual Pinterest board right here with some pictures. Oops, nope, there's the mystery quilt. I'm out of order a little, sorry people.
You had it on your newsletter screen, yeah.
Yeah, it was on the newsletter, so you can find it there, and I just double pictured the newsletter. I'm gonna skip ahead one, if you don't mind, Edie, and talk about the mystery quilt real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There should or was another set of clues revealed today, and this was the block that you were just working on. So you're about halfway through on the mystery quilt. If you have any questions, you could contact the guild. It's never too late to join. Any questions? Let's see. When did the newsletter go out? I haven't got it. Hey, Dawn, we're gonna email you, and we'll take care of that. Does anybody else not receive the email from? There's a few hands. So if you could email
Paula Kennedy, if you'll email Paula Kennedy.
And let her know. I see your hand waving there, Mary Martin. If you want to speak, or you just, you can unmute, but Mary Martin, if you could email Paula and say, hey, I didn't get the newsletter. But also before you do that, check your trash. Check your junk account. And she's saying no.
Okay. Yeah, that is one thing. It might go into your spam account, so just make sure you check that.
Paula, you can unmute yourself because you're going to be talking next anyway. If you have any comments about that, I'm going to turn it over to you, actually.
Yeah. So my only question would be the people that are responding. Dawn, I know that I sent you another one last month, and you had emailed back that you got it. So if anybody is not getting it, is it a constant thing, or is it just a one-time thing? That's one question. I've gone over those lists, substantially. Kathy Aber and I did, and so everybody's email is correct on it. There's something going on with the servers, like talking to each other. So that's probably it. I'm going to forward you the email. Just let me know if you didn't get it. I'm going to forward it you from my own account, and that way, chances are you'll probably get it. So I will.
Mary, can I just ask, I think it was Mary, Dawn, and Carol, are you getting other things from the guild, or is it just the newsletter? Okay.
I'm getting everything else from the guild.
Just not the newsletter.
Is the newsletter on the guild blog?
Is the newsletter on the blog?
What'd she say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Is the newsletter on the blog?
This one hasn't been posted yet, but it will be today.
Okay, I think that's how I usually read it.
That's how you normally read it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. Then it's not always, it just depends on when I can get it sent out. So knowing that, I'll make sure that it goes out immediately after I post it, if that's how you read it.
Well, I haven't been getting my email, but I've been thinking about it because I read them. So I think I get it off the blog.
Okay, so the question is, are you getting the other emails, the Zoom codes, the updates, things like that? Okay,
Right.
there must be something in the newsletter software, the way that, you know, it's produced through MailChimp that it's a different, and it also, the newsletter can be quite long. Since we're meeting virtually, we pack it with a lot of information. It could be, it is a size issue, and a lot of servers will turn it away if it's too big, if you're using a free email account or something. So please just be rest assured that we have gone over those names. You're definitely on all the lists. And so I'll go through these names. I have Mary, Dawn, and Sherry so far. So I'll check those, and I'm going to forward you a copy from my own email account. It'll be a forwarded copy. But I understand what you're saying, Carol. I will definitely post that immediately next time. Okay? That's
And
good
just
to know.
keep in mind that the newsletter always goes out about 2 days before the meeting. So say like Tuesday night before the meeting, if you haven't gotten the newsletter, then you need to email me, the blog,
Yeah.
or the guild or Paula and say, listen, I didn't get it this month. Can I have it? Because we can always forward it to you from our personal account until, you know,
Yeah.
we'll try to work out the glitches. But if you don't get it usually by Monday morning, I want to say before the guild meeting, then you'll need to let somebody know.
Yeah, and I definitely suspect it is a size issue or something like that. It's common, but if you're getting all the other emails, that tells me that, you know, you're definitely on that list. So that's just good to know. So, okay.
Okay, Paula, did you want to talk a little bit about YouTube, just to clarify some of the questions about
Yeah,
accessing
all
our YouTube?
I wanted to say was in the survey, we asked a question about, are you using the email account for you or the YouTube account? And we got a good response. We've had several people subscribe to the channel, which is great. I'm just going to, am I able to share the screen, Edie? Can I just
Yep.
do this real quick?
Yep.
Let's see, desktop one. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, the YouTube, it's the YouTube thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is what our landing page for the YouTube channel looks like, okay? So if you have arrived here, you're in the right place. We had a couple of questions. People were not able, they didn't know how to access it. And, you know, we have a lot of ways to get connected. So I realize it can be confusing and a little overwhelming. So on the YouTube channel, 2 ways. We usually send a link out after the meeting that says, here is the direct link to our YouTube virtual meeting recorded. When you go to that, that'll take you directly to the recorded meeting. I also have been putting a link in this follow-up email of the slideshow, because it's run on a movie file. It's a little bit different. It's just usually more pleasing to look at it on that movie file. You can see last month's slideshow. You can see Kelsey's things. You can see the sewing room videos. It's really fun to go on there, and, you know, if you haven't been able to catch up. This is what the landing page looks like with our videos and list and the screenshots here. And if you don't get the direct link or you don't know what it is, you just go to Google basically and search Orlando Modern Quilt Guild YouTube channel, and it will pop up first thing. You don't have to have a YouTube account or anything. At one point we had discussed making it private, and that was just for different reasons with membership. But we're going to be doing this for a while, I think at least a few more months. So everything is public. Anyone can search this and find it. The thing is, it's mostly our members, and that's our most important thing, is we want to make sure our members are getting access to it and not making it too difficult or too confusing. So surprisingly, several people said they had watched the meeting afterwards if they're working and they can't attend this virtual meeting. So we're doing well. You can become a member of the page. When you look at a video, it'll say subscribe on the bottom. And if you subscribe to our channel and do the notifications, then you get updates all the time of everything happening. So it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. You can see our little logo up here in the corner in the right, and right here, that's our logo. So if you end up there, you're in the right place. So anyway, we're gonna send out a meeting, not a code, but a link today or tomorrow. Once the recorded meeting gets online, she'll send it to me and we will upload it and you can see it, all right?
Yeah, and as long as we're talking about that, if you weren't able to attend the Long Armors panel that we had last week, that's posted on there as well. That was really interesting. And I got some good tips, and it sort of lessened my intimidation factor about sending something to a Long Armor. So I really appreciate the ladies that did that for us. It's a good resource, this.
Do you want, speaking of YouTube and this, I know we did want to make, do you want to talk about the class though? The class will not be posted. That's not something that's going to be posted. That's a property issue with Renee. And so that's not going to be posted. But, you know, if you sign up for the class and get the pattern, then you'll have the class.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good. I'm
So
gonna,
I think that's good. All right.
okay.
I hope that answered the questions that you had about the YouTube.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
Now we're back. Okay.
Sorry.
So we're going to move on to the programming section. Oh no, Sue wanted us to do a quick, brief update on community outreach projects.
It's pretty hard to do community outreach when we're all staying home, but I wanted to give you an update. I actually got some placemats this past week. Thank you, Marge. And I wanted to let you know that it brought us over 600 placemats that we have done since we started this project. So I thought that was a really, real positive thing that's going on. Yeah, thank you, Marge. She gave me 4, and that put us right over the 600 mark. And the baby quilts. Apparently there's a real good start on the baby quilts. Charlene had already had 8 when I checked with her to get it into the newsletter. I'm sure since then there are more. I have to think that she's probably made a good portion of those 8, but because she's so prolific. But anyway, I just want to encourage you, all sizes, all shapes, all colors. These are going to be for baby through 3 or 4-year-olds. And I personally started off making a security blanket. My kids were, they liked carrying things around the house. So I'm making a real simple thing out of fabric that I had, but it's soft and it's cuddly, and it's going to end up only about 3 by 3, something like, 3 feet by 3 feet. So it's going to be a cuddle type of security blanket instead of something, that they'll put on the bed or something like that. But any shape, any size. Somebody was using minions. So if you've got any kind of childlike fabric, go do it. Now myself, I have a lot of kids fabric, but I had 2 daughters and I have 3 granddaughters. So I have lots of girl things. I don't have a whole lot of boy things. So I hope somebody else is making lots of boy quilts. Also, because it's so hard for us to meet and to collect things, if you've got something at home, whether it's a placemat or it's a baby quilt, let us know and we'll try figuring out a way of getting it from you. Charlene is doing the baby quilts, or I can help too. I'm in the southwest side of town. I think she's on the northeast. So, if you want to collect them, share them in the show and tell, and then we can collect them and hold on to them. That's great. But the other thing too is I know a lot of you are doing your own projects. You're not sewing for your friends or family perhaps, but you've got other interests that you are donating to. And if that's the case, let us know. Is it a local group or is it a national group? What are you doing to give back during this period of time? I know a lot of people are still making masks, but there are other opportunities too. And we're going to try to get some of those ideas and opportunities out to you. Since we're just, we're not having our monthly meetings, it's not easy to come in and hand it off and things like that. We're trying to come up with some other alternatives. But anyway, keep busy. Let me know if you need any help or any pickup, and so on.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. And now we're going to move on to programming with Deborah.
I'm going to unmute and I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a moment. And while I'm getting this set up, I want to say this is month 2 of our series on sharing some inspirations from the Japanese culture in quilting. And so this is month 2. Next month, we're going to have Ashley Gottstart. She's going to do, and I'm going to chop up this really bad, but Wabi Sabi Boro in Kitsinjuku, the Japanese way of embracing the imperfect. So that's next month, and we might even have a 4th month of it. So last month was Yannick's presentation, and you can review that again on the YouTube channel if you liked it. So if you have any comments and want to write something in the chat bar, you can go ahead. But while I'm screen sharing, I can't exactly see it. So I'm going to ask Edie. She's going to kind of be my host. And if somebody has a question, she'll yell it out to me. And go ahead and feel free to stop me at any time and unmute yourself with a question or type it in the chat box. So the inspiration for this year's let's call it a quarter on Japanese inspired designs came a couple years ago. Actually, it's 2 years ago at QuiltCon when Curated Quilts magazine announced that they would have a black and white issue challenge. And I got really excited about that because I'd already done a couple of black and white quilts. So I went to town making some more black and white quilts. And then when the Curated Quilts magazine actually came out, within that magazine they had a story about this book on the left, Notan, The Dark Light Principle of Design. And I felt like those two went hand in hand, and it inspired me to I'm going to go the whole year with just working on black, white, and gray. We'll see how long I can stick to that, but it really inspired me. So these 2 books were really terrific. I would recommend them. They're not expensive, and you can get the back copy of the Curated Quilts magazine. So what is Notan? Notan is not a quilting term, but it means the dark light principle of design as a guiding principle of Eastern art and design. It focuses on the interaction between positive and negative space, a relationship embodied in the ancient symbolism of the yin or the yang and the yin. So the book was by Dor Bothwell and Marlis Mayfield. So a couple of names that were hard to pronounce there too. It's just a fabulous book. It talks about the yin and the yang, and it has, it brings you through a series of exercises within the book. A series of exercises that you can do with pen and ink or black and white paper, and it's not intimidating at all. It just starts you at one little project and moves you along to several different projects on talking about the black and white concept of design. Oops, back a little. So just a couple of examples. Oh, the book, it's really a great tool to help you as you're designing. Each of those exercises builds on the previous exercise. So that's one thing I really enjoyed about it, that it just moved you along at a great pace. And then this is the cover shot from the Curated Quilts magazine. 3x3 was designed for an Island Batik Ambassador Challenge. She wanted to innovate an unexpected star quilt by playing with high contrast and large scale design. Inadvertently, the placement of the stars created a secondary flower movement. So not just black and white in Notan, but just black and white in general. Here's a couple of examples. This, some of you are familiar with. It is Waterfall by our own Sarah Luzon. It has aspect, of course it's black and white, but it has a lot of aspects of Notan in it as well. This is a quilt that was at QuiltCon, I can't remember if it was just this last year or the year before, but it's by Charlie Mankin. You can find her at Sydney Rose Designs. This, it's not an original design, but it's a replica of a Franco Brignani. He is an Italian architect that lived from 1908 to 1999. He was a graphic designer and an artist. And he is the inspiration for this really super cool quilt. The Woolmark logo is a woolen industry trademark. that maybe is familiar to you. It is a Notan design. It's recognized as outstanding designer across the globe. That was designed by Franco Grignani as well. So here's another example of my take on Notan from a couple of years ago. It's called a Simply Squares quilt. And just so that in quilting, if you don't want to stick just to black and white, how about dark and light? So it has the same and similar challenges as the black and white, but here it's with a really beautiful royal blue instead. This is Idea by Leanne Chanley. You can find her at She Can Quilt. So this was one of my favorites that I've seen online as well. A little known example of Notan, which is, how do you say it? Mulans, or this is Panama Mola, and that's an example of a non-black and white one, but an orange and black. This is a quilt designed by Jean Chesek. Now, if you look closely at it, you can see that the blacks and the whites are opposites of one another. And that's one of the elements in Notan book. So I think that she designed this from learning about Notan. And so did Ann Deister. She has this quilt online. If you want to design your own black and white quilt, great. If you don't, look up Unoccupied by Ann Deister. If you go online, she has directions for just a basic Notan block, but she also has directions for this entire quilt. So if you go to her blog, here's her name again, just up there, Ann Deister. If you go to her blog, she has those directions for free. Here's an example of fabric that is Notan inspired. It's the Simple Houndstooth. This one happens to be by Maywood Fabrics. And then on the left, here is a quilt made with the houndstooth design. I thought that was really, really cool. I loved this houndstooth quilt pattern by V&C Company. So there's a lot of challenges when you are working with black and white fabric. I've come across a lot, but as I've studied Notan and researched some black and white quilts online, it's just a really great alternative to making some quilts. So I'm going to challenge you to look up Notan, research some black and white quilts online, maybe design and make one of your own. That's my challenge to you. So I wanted to share one challenge that I have with black and white designs. When you're pressing, there's always that age-old question: do you want to press open? Do you want to press to the side? And it's extra tricky when you're working with a white background, especially with black. So it's not that I've come up with any particular answers to the question, but just by experimenting with it, you can work through how you want to press your fabric. Edie, you have a quiz for us, don't you?
I have another little poll for you to take. Let me get this one out of here. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Let's see. I made another one. See if this is the same one. No, I'm sorry, Deborah, I don't have it, unfortunately.
Okay, let me remember what the question was.
Had you ever made a black and white quilt or a quilt based on dark and light value?
So how many people here have made a black and white quilt? Since we don't have the poll, we'll do that visual again. Do the two hands. You've made a black and white quilt. Does anybody have any specific pieces of advice or challenges that they'd like to share about their black and white quilt?
No. Apparently not. Can I ask a question? You were talking about pressing.
Yeah.
When you quilt it, are you constantly changing? I mean, I was looking at yours where there was so much variety. How are you constantly changing the thread to go from quilting the black part to quilting the white part?
On that one I did. Some people don't do white on white and black on black thread. They don't make that choice. It's just a choice. I'm trying to remember on Sarah's, on her choices of thread were fun and unique. On mine, on that Simply Squares quilt, yeah, I would change threads a lot. I had all black thread on the back of that quilt, and then the top I just changed between black and white thread.
And so you had all black on the back. Did it come up into the white part?
No, it didn't come up into the white part too much. I just wanted the back of that quilt. I wish I had a picture handy, but the back of the quilt was all a solid piece of white. So I wanted black.
Oh, okay.
I wanted black thread to show off just the entire back, and I'll send a picture of that out. I didn't think of posting the back of that. I'll send a picture of that out, of the back of the quilting on that Simply Squares quilt. Does anybody have any other questions? What did you use for thread on your quilt, Sarah?
I used 3 or 4 different kinds. I did some black on black for the mountains in the background. And then I used, I want to say 3 different weights of white. One in Visifill, maybe like a Deco Bob, and then a regular cotton white, just to show the gradient.
Okay.
And was that variation on your quilt, I can't remember, Sarah, under the waterfall where it almost looked like it was stripes of gray and black, was that done with thread, or is that a different fabric that was under there?
It's purely black and white fabric on that quilt, so anything you'd see, that's white thread. So there's 2 different threads in that close-up.
Beautiful.
Just to kind of show, you know, some more depth.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
One challenge I had that I'll pass on with that is I had to use white batting because there's white in there. Sorry. But white batting below the black, if it starts to come through and you start to roll it and roll it and roll it and roll it, it's a nightmare.
So the batting was coming up in
the batting was coming up through the black, yeah. So taking a roller and rolling it just makes the problem worse. So
what kind of batting did you use?
I don't remember on that one.
I
only use cotton. I just don't remember what brand.
Okay.
I had that problem one time, and it's called bearding. And they told me that I had the batting upside down. So if you quilt, if you quilt with the little pin pricks that you can see on the batting on the right side, and I can't remember which it is right now, you won't get that bearding. But right. I had that problem, and I ended up taking, it was for a show, and I ended up taking a Sharpie and sitting for hours and blacking all those little bearded spots that came up on the back of the quilt.
Oh my gosh.
I did something similar, love, on some quilts that I had white thread on black fabric that I didn't want to show. I would color the thread with a Sharpie as well.
We aren't the only ones.
Yeah.
So Diana Matoni has a comment here about the batting. She said she thinks it's dimples up, pimples down.
That's correct. That is correct.
I will never look at batting the same way again. Anybody else have a question? Okay, doesn't look like that. Okay, so the last thing on the agenda for today is the show and tell. So Paula had to step away for a second, so I'm going to share this from my computer. This says June 2020, but this is actually this month. Well, I think we can all agree there's some amazing work going on out there, amazing, and some really darling baby quilts. So that's all we have for this meeting. Has anybody else got anything they want to put in? Okay, just a reminder, you want to sign up for Renee's class, you need to do that by July 10th. And that by signing up, I mean you get your check-in or you do your PayPal payment. That gets you signed up for Renee's class. July 10th, that's that deadline. If you want to do the Christmas in July Scrappy Exchange, that's July 15th. And you're going to email the Guild or email Deborah if you want to be involved in that. Okay, is that clear?
Hey, there's a question there for Aradria about can we still borrow a book from the library?
Yes, Aradria, you want to talk about that?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yes, just either email me or text me. Texting is probably best. And everything's the same in the directory for me. I'm just asking members to just put in the request, or if you want to return something, let me know ahead of time. We have a carport in our table, or we have a carport with a table. We have a table out in our carport. I can't talk today, I'm sorry. And for deliveries, so I'm just asking that if someone requests a book, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out in a plastic bag. Let me know when you're coming. Just, I'm home every day anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then if you're dropping off a book, let me know ahead of time so I can keep an eye out for you so it doesn't get damaged outside because of weather or anything. If you could put it like in a plastic bag or a baggie or something when you return it, just so that the book stays safe, that's all. So.
And Aradria is working on updating all of our catalog. It'll be on the blog, so you can go on there and see what we have if you're interested in checking something out.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Aradria.
Yeah, sorry, I could have talked today. Sorry.
I understand. I have days where I can't talk or think either. So just a quick note to all the board members who are on, as I'm going to close this meeting and then I'll reopen the new one in about 5 minutes. I have to change locations and things. So same code as you used to get on for this one. Okay, everybody stay safe and well. It's wonderful to see you. Hope you're doing as well as can be expected. And I'll look forward to being with you all next month. Thank you.